I'm Khyra Steiner, and you're listening to Elaborate with K. Elaborate with K. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Elaborate with K. So, first of all, happy Black History Month. But that's honestly what today's episode is going to be about. Today's episode is actually going to be about how Black history is way more than just a month. So without further ado, let's get started. So if you tuned in for last week's episode, I talked about how, Black people kind of have this experience of working twice as hard to get to specific places and to meet the same goals as some of our white counterparts. And I also mentioned and talked a little bit about how there's still so many firsts that we have yet to make in history, and so many, Black firsts that have yet to be accomplished, and how we're still working towards that. But I wanted to go off of that for today's episode and kind of just talk about, the idea of Black History Month. And I would like to say, first and foremost, that even as a kid, I had a little bit of, not a problem, but a little bit of disappointment, a little tinge of, I don't know, iffiness with the scheduling of Black History Month, because why did they give us the shortest month? First and foremost. Okay, now that we have that out the way. I don't know. I think that Black History Month is this really interesting thing because it's a time when, so I'm still in school, and Black History Month is a time when I think, they make sure that they put up the Black book display in the library, or different companies will make sure that they highlight and promote Black people in whatever industry that is. Or if you're watching TV, they'll have specific, they'll change the graphics and make sure that they have Black people on the graphics. Same thing with how Google does their different themed things every year, or not every day. And so whether it's a TV channel changing their graphics, or a company, deciding that month they want to highlight different Black organizations or different Black people in that industry, or, they do little mini history lessons or whatever it is. And I think that I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining about the effort, because I think that more than anything, it's good that it's there, right? And even if it's one person who is in charge of setting that up, and sending out the information, or creating the graphics, or whatever it is, there's someone who is in charge of doing the research and finding out more about these Black historic figures or people in that industry and whatever it is. So these things are at least making one more person aware and interested and do this research of Black history. And I appreciate the effort so much, but I think that it's really interesting because, the minute that it turns February 29th, the book displays are gone. The graphics have changed back to normal. You're getting no more fun facts. You're getting no more highlights. It's as if it never happened. And Black history, and with any history, but Black history is so much more than just a month. And I think that there's so much history and so many things that have gone on undocumented and that we don't know about, or that are very, very not well known. Because, we all know Black history in schools is not everything that it should be. And after school, I think there's not very many general opportunities for people to learn more about Black history besides doing their own research, which is obviously amazing. And I encourage everyone to continue doing research and continue, putting yourself in positions to learn and explore and just advance your skills and your knowledge after school and all of that. But I think that there seems to be this idea that Black History Month is exactly 29 days, and then that's it, and then it's over. But in reality, Black history shapes so much of our lives. And I think I always love learning all of these little tidbits and facts about all of the inventions that were created by Black people. And it's everyday things too, and things that you use on your day to day basis, and things that you think about or things that you don't think about because there's so much a part of your routine and so ingrained in you. And just learning and hearing about how much Black people shaped, the United States and the rest of the world, honestly, and how much they shaped our lives to this day is an amazing, incredible thing, and incredible feeling when you're Black and knowing that, your people, your race is part of this super, super inspiring, change making group of people. It's truly great. But I think that it's also a really hard thing to deal with knowing that it can feel a little bit performative sometimes from different groups and everything when it's just during Black History Month, because the reality is that February 28th is not the last day that Black people exist, right? So once we get into March 1st, they take down the books and they change the graphics back, but at the end of the month, I'm still going to be a Black person, right? The Everything that was created by Black people is still going to exist, and it's still going to continue to shape the world and everybody's lives, whether it's past inventions, current inventions, trends, fashion. Everything is so influenced by Black people and Black culture, and the world does not give us enough credit. The world likes to erase us, and I think the whole idea of Black history, and I love that we do have all of these different months to really focus and celebrate so many different groups of people. I think it's great, but I think that what's not great is thinking that during that month is the only time that these groups or that these people deserve that level of recognition and celebration. um or anything of that nature, right? Because just because it's March or April doesn't mean that you can't still promote a book written by a Black person, right? Like, that book still exists. That person still took however much time out of their lives to write that book so that we could all read it, so that we could learn, so that we could hear their stories. Because stories are meant to be shared, and they're meant to be shared with the world and with other people. That's how we learn and that's how we grow. And so the idea that, I really just want to emphasize and focus on the idea that Black history is more than just a month. And, even though we don't always learn about it or we don't always hear about it, and it's not always a focus or top of mind throughout the rest of the year, it is very much a thing, and it is very much still important. So I encourage you to, continue doing research and promoting and celebrating and supporting Black people in every industry, if it's artistry, if it's content creation, if it's authors, writers, filmmakers, cooks, chefs, builders, um, whatever it is, just continue to celebrate and support those people, because just because the month ends, or it's no longer February, just because it's not Black History Month doesn't mean that the history doesn't matter. Black History Month is definitely, it's a chance in a way and an opportunity for us to celebrate everything that's happened and all of the things that Black people have had to overcome. But so much of Black history is erased, and I think that personally I can feel it in just it also being part of the shortest month, and it always feels a little bit like they're just trying to get it over with. But there's so much more in Black history, so many more people that have truly changed and shaped our life that we have never learned about, that you would never know. If you heard their name, you wouldn't recognize it. And Black people have just had such an impact on the entire world, and I encourage you to not leave it just to the month of February, but to continue whatever practice you are doing. Especially, I think if you make it a goal to specifically support Black people, Black businesses during the month of February, and you're like, I'm going to make sure that I am reading this many books by Black authors, or that I am supporting certain Black restaurants, Black owned businesses, whatever it is. Don't stop just because Black History Month is over, right? Because at the end of the month, those businesses are still in business and they still need customers and support and consumers. And those authors still wrote those stories and they still want people to read and experience their books and hear the stories and learn about them. And, you know, Black owned food trucks and restaurants are still running and they're still cooking and they're still putting their heart and soul into the food that they're making. And Black artists are very much still creating art and they're still putting everything into the art that they're creating. And Blackness doesn't begin and end in February. It is all year round, 24/7, 366 days a year. 12 months. Blackness is an everyday thing, and it's, you know, it's something that it can be really hard at some points, you know, and you will face discrimination and microaggressions and negativity and feeling like an outcast or feeling very alone and isolated and standing out in front of in a crowd because of being different. You will feel it. And just because you are supporting these people and uplifting a group of people or a race of people during the month, if you're not doing it the other 11 months out of the year, if you're not doing it the rest of the time, why not? Right? What's so different between February 28th and March 1st? What's the difference between January 31st and February 1st or February 7th? Right? Because at the end of the day, at the end of every single day, Black people are still Black. And just like everyone else, they are still trying to do what they love and share their history, share their stories, share their art and their creations or their knowledge and their experience and their time and energy with the world, just like everyone else. And so even though Black History Month is scheduled for the month of February, Black history and Blackness does not begin and end in February. It lasts all year round, every single day, every day of our lives. And that's it. So thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Elaborate with K, and I'll talk to you next Sunday. Bye! And yeah, talk to you next Sunday.